Gather round, friends. Let me tell you a little story about something going on in the Oakland sports scene that stinks. Something isn't right. I heard from multiple sources, that the Oakland Roots were set to announce that they were going to play their 2025 season at the Oakland Coliseum. 2025. Remember, they are trying to build a stadium in the Malibu lot on 9 acres, and the county was dragging their feet. They actually needed to get everything locked up, done, ordered, and ready to go in time for their 2025 season. The county wouldn't deliver the approvals in time, so that was punted and pushed down the road. But, conveniently, the Oakland Athletics had made absolutely no effort to extend their lease at the Coliseum. Remember, they're touring Sacramento, Salt Lake City. They had no communications with the city of Oakland at all about extending their lease. So on the week of the Super Bowl, an article comes out in the SF Chronicle. Props John Shea, as always. Also, shout out Scott Osler. Henry Gardner, the executive director of the JPA, let it slip that the Oakland Roots were looking at 2025 at the Oakland Coliseum. In fact, at a previous Coliseum Authority meeting, the Roots president even showed up and said that they were hoping to make 2025 work at the Oakland Coliseum.
Oakland Roots and Soul are very interested in serving as an anchor tenant of the Coliseum in 2025, while we continue to pursue construction of a modular stadium at the Malibu site.
This was well in motion. Today, on Friday, there was even an agenda item where they were going to firm up all the details. Today, closed session, conference with real property negotiators, property 7000 Coliseum Way, Oakland, negotiating parties, Lydia Tan, Chief Real Estate Officer, Oakland Pro Soccer LLC, under negotiation, price and terms of payment. Price and terms of payment. This thing was about to be a done deal. They were negotiating price and terms of payment. There was going to be a big announcement next week. What happened? Henry Gardner, the executive director of the JPA, mentioned to the Chronicle that they were talking about having the Roots play in Oakland in 2025. Suddenly, that piqued the A's interest, didn't it? Yesterday, the A's met with the city and county. Today, they've pulled the rug on the Roots and their negotiations for the Coliseum in 2025. So why would they do that? Like, what is in it for them to take a team that's community driven, that actually wants to play at the Coliseum, and pull the rug on them for a team that has actually expressed no interest in staying in Oakland? They're Las Vegas or bust, right? Well, one thing I can think of in particular is that they want to make sure that the A's half, the John Fisher-owned half, the half that the county sold them in the first place, thus setting off this entire chain of events that made the mess that we are currently in at the Coliseum site, they want to ensure that they can get their half of that land to AASEG. So look at who's in charge of the JPA. After Henry Gardner, it's Nate Miley of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors. Then it's Rebecca Kaplan, the Oakland Vice Mayor. They want AASEG to get a hold of that Coliseum property so that they can finally develop it. A noble cause, sure. But that's not the real concession in the negotiations now, is it? The city's stance is that they want the A's to either stay, get MLB expansion, or keep the A's name and colors, in addition to this plot of land. The A's themselves have told me they don't even mind if the Roots play at the Coliseum. So why do they pull the plug on this meeting? I've even actually spoken with people that were supposed to be in the meeting that said they were given no reason for why it was canceled in the first place. Sure, I've heard they will make up an excuse, say there's a lack of quorum, something like that, but that's clearly not the case. Something is going on, and it stinks. And the Oakland Roots now have nowhere to play in 2025. They are relying on the Coliseum. It's too late for them to build at the Malibu lot in time for next season, and they can't play at Cal State East Bay because they're redoing the turf there. So this is a complete mess. You can see why the JPA continues to put teams and entities in this spin cycle. It's been a mess that's gone on for decades, and there's no end in sight. If they continue to handle business this way, you can see why teams like the Raiders, like the A's, heck, the Roots, are even going to be frustrated enough that they can't continue on down this path. It's a disaster. So yes, again, it's leaked that the Roots are trying to play in 25 at the Coliseum. The A's suddenly return to the table, despite having no interest prior. The next day, the rug is pulled on the Roots' final price negotiations to play at the Coliseum. And here we go again. An eternal cycle of sports purgatory when it comes to the Oakland Coliseum site. Man. The JPA has some explaining to do. You'll notice a lot of silence from them right now. Not hearing any explanations. I'm asking and not getting any answers. I'm not getting any calls back. Something weird is going on. We'll follow this one very closely as it develops, but you gotta feel bad for a team like the Roots, a community-driven team just trying to do the right thing. Being left in the lurch by the JPA. The city's frustrated by it. Who knows what the county's doing? This joint powers authority situation, it's been a disaster for a long time. They gotta clean it up.